Hey everyone, welcome back to Agenda Now. Today I'm diving into a story that's got everyone on Capitol Hill buzzing, and trust me, it's a big one. Senator Elizabeth Warren just went all in on President Trump's nominee for FDIC chair, Mr. Hill, and what she uncovered. It's raising some serious alarms that could ripple through our entire financial system. So let's break down what happened, why it matters, and what's really at stake. Picture this: senators are grilling a handful of nominees, all of them angling to run the agencies that basically keep our housing, banks, and finances in check. Warren, never one to hold back, sets her sights on Mr. Hill right off the bat. She's not buying that these nominees are out to protect everyday Americans, especially families struggling with inflation and rising costs. Now, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. This channel is where you get the real story, no spin. Here's where things heat up. Back in 2023, the FDIC was in hot water for a toxic workplace culture. Staff complaints were piling up, morale was in the basement, and the agency's credibility was on the line. Mr. Hill, then vice chair, publicly promised he'd fix it. But according to Warren, the second Trump was back in the White House and Hill stepped up as acting chair. That urgency just disappeared. Warren says she's been chasing updates for months, but instead of getting answers, Hill started blocking independent reports from Congress. He didn't release them, didn't let anyone else release them. Total blackout. But plot twist, some of those reports still made it out. And they're bad. We're talking brutal details about the agency's culture, confusing communication, offices meant to handle harassment and discrimination running on fumes, and a sense that Trump-era policies were actually reversing the fixes the FDIC had started. It gets even messier. Warren points to fresh stats showing Hill/staff in the Office of Professional Conduct by 30%. That's the office that investigates complaints and keeps people honest. He also cut the Equal Employment Opportunity Office, the one that digs into discrimination. At the same time, he was cutting back on bank examiners and rolling back protections on the country's biggest banks. Warren says that's a recipe for disaster, not just for workers, but for taxpayers and the entire financial system. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, hit that like button. It seriously helps more people find these stories. Warren's closing argument? Pure frustration. She says Congress can't do its job if it's kept in the dark. No matter your politics, blocking federal reports is a huge red flag. And no one, Republican or Democrat, should get a free pass. Without transparency, she argues, there's no accountability. And without accountability, who's really looking out for us? That's the story. Hidden reports, staffing cuts, a culture in crisis, and a nominee under the microscope. What do you think? Should Hill still get the job, or is this a deal breaker? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to subscribe to Agenda Now for more straight-to-the-point breakdowns and political news. Until next time, stay informed.
Did you just call me?
I did.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the panel before us today, if confirmed, will run critical components of our housing finance, commerce, and banking systems. I remain concerned with these nominees' willingness to follow the law, to focus on the necessary work of combating rising costs for families, and to serve as a meaningful check on the president's reckless economic policies. I want to focus, though, on Mr. Hill, President Trump's nominee to be chairman of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. After reports of a long-standing toxic workplace culture at the FDIC came to light in 2023, Mr. Hill, who was then serving as vice chair of the FDIC, was eager to publicly prioritize this issue. I was clear at the time that the FDIC leadership had a responsibility to fix this. But sadly, once Donald Trump became president, Mr. Hill became the acting chair. His interest in fixing these long-running problems at the FDIC seems to have faded. I have repeatedly requested copies of the monthly assessments conducted by the FDIC's Independent Transformation Monitor, a third party who was hired to track the agency's progress on its cultural improvement efforts. Not only has Mr. Hill failed to provide these documents to Congress, he has also explicitly blocked the independent monitor from sharing those reports with us. Our job is oversight, and regardless of party, A candidate who is openly refusing to share information with members of the Senate Banking Committee should not be confirmed. It turns out we were able to get a hold of some of these reports anyway, and it becomes clear why he wanted to hide them. The reports are abysmal. The independent monitor found that parts of FDIC's action plan to resolve its cultural problems had been nullified by President Trump's policies. It found that, quote, the manner in which the FDIC communicates progress to FDIC staff causes confusions and is, at times, inaccurate. And two of the critical new offices that the FDIC set up to address its toxic workplace, the Office of Professional Conduct and the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity, offices that Mr. Hill himself touted in front of this very committee as critical to the FDIC's cultural improvement efforts, are understaffed. We now also have data that validates the independent monitor's concern that these offices are understaffed. Mr. Hill slashed the staffing levels of the Office of Professional Conduct, which investigates and takes disciplinary action against harassment complaints, by 30%. He has also cut staffing levels at the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity, which investigates discrimination complaints. At the same time, Mr. Hill obstructs progress on its workplace cultural issues. He is actively setting the stage for the next financial crisis, cutting bank examiners, tying their hands, and rolling back safeguards on mega banks. These actions put taxpayers, the financial system, and the whole economy at risk. Look, I will say it again. We may not all share the same views on what people should be doing, but at a minimum, we ought to have access to the information and the reports that these agencies are generating. And I feel very frustrated that we're talking about advancing a candidate who has refused for months now to give at least the ranking member of this committee access to those reports. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Good morning. I call the committee to order and move to executive session. Today, the committee considers